This talk is given by Dr. Galit Almoznino from the Dental Medicine Department at the Hebrew. And Galit told us about RheumaticMonitor.
Okay. First of all, thank you very much for the organizing committee for inviting me to speak about RheumaticMonitor. I am a clinician, I'm an oral medicine specialist, but I'm also a biostatistician and epidemiologist. And I run a lab, a biomedical data research lab at the Faculty of Dental Medicine at the Hebrew University, Hadassah, and I'm a senior lecturer at the Hebrew University. I will describe in detail the team to give them all the honor needed. And I would like to start with a brief introduction of the journey that many clinicians, the world of medicine has gone through. We started from very sensory-based intuitive medicine and moved into evidence-based medicine. And now we're talking about algorithm-based medicine. When I started my training as a doctor 25 years ago, the doctor was God. We knew everything. We are the doctors. We can do everything. And now our attitude to the patients is completely changed. We now see the patient as a partner. And this is a huge change in medicine. Also, the knowledge is based on huge databases that includes a lot of information, lab results, imaging results, radiology, pathology. And on top of this, there are many biobanks built in the world which introduce microbiome, epigenetics, genomics. This enables us to ask questions that we never asked before as doctors. Look at this project. This is a leading project from the NIH called All of Us. This is a very expensive and ambitious project. It's aimed to analyze data of more than 1 million people living in the United States for years. They want to predict outcomes from people which were currently healthy and follow them for years. This is very expensive. And this can predict many diseases. These were things that were never done before in medicine. And it leads me to the very provocative title from the time. Can Google solve this? This is a question worth living for, right? This is mind-blowing. Can we solve death? Everybody is going to die one day. So this is really exciting, an exciting moment in medicine. And I say it as a doctor myself, but not everything is easy. There are many challenges that everybody who ever worked with data, especially medical data, knows. First of all, the need for technical expertise. I'm, as I said, a biostatistician, a hands-on biostatistician. I do the stat myself, and I had to learn it in the journey that I made because I understood that I cannot be only a doctor, seeing patients and not being able to analyze my own data. There is need for data scientists, domain experts in medicine. Also, as mentioned before, medical data is there is a lot of noise. There is a lot of garbage in the medical data. We doctors make mistakes, everything can happen in this data. And I say it also as a statistician and as a doctor. And I always teach my students, the first thing I tell them that something that is statistically significant can have no meaning clinically significant. The fact that something is statistically significant means nothing if it has no clinically relevance. So domain experts are needed in the field of medicine to understand the data. What are we looking for? And there are also many regulatory issues. I myself, I'm a member of Hadassah Medical Center Helsinki Committee, Institutional Review Board. And we review many requests in the last couple of years related to big data. And there are many ethical issues, regulatory issues, problems with sharing of data between hospitals, problems of privacy and security. So it's not very easy. And this made a huge change in medicine. And on top of this background comes our project called RheumaticMonitor. And RheumaticMonitor is a new architecture for screening, monitoring, and analyzing big data that accumulates in Italy and over time from multiple rheumatic disease patients. This project is granted by the Ministry of Science and Technology of Israel. And it is a project which is a collaboration between Hadassah, Hebrew University, and Ben-Gurion University. I will present, as I said, in detail, all our team. So what is the problem? What is the unmet need? The first thing that a doctor needs to say is this worth asking the question. Rheumatic diseases are chronic inflammatory diseases, what we call autoimmune diseases. That means the body attacks itself. And these are called arthritis, and it affects lots of people in the world. It is estimated that about 22% or 23% of the US population have doctor-diagnosed arthritis. But these diseases do not only affect the joints, they affect bones, joints, and many other organs in the body. Moreover, we still don't understand these diseases. To this date, we don't know not what is the etiology of these diseases, how they progress, and they are cycling conditions. The patient is getting exacerbation and then remissions, and we cannot predict this cycle. We cannot say when the patient will exacerbate, when it will be better, and we don't know what are the individual responses for treatment. So, and to further complicate matters, many get one autoimmune disease and then they get the other one for free. So you have, for let's say, fibromyalgia with rheumatoid arthritis, and there is a considerable overlapping between these diseases. So we don't really understand the diseases. And not only that we don't understand the diseases, we don't understand the patient. As we all know, the whole concept of personalized medicine is that there is no one treatment for one patient. Who is this patient? You know, everybody is different and he has different experiences, perspectives and everything. And all these concepts are actually, we have to adopt a holistic approach and understand that all these things affect the patient's functional activities, they have social consequences. So not that this disease is not understood as well as the patient's own progression. And the most important thing, and this is something that I have to say, we don't have time as doctors. We have like 15, 20 minutes with the patient, and we don't know what happens at home. What happens outside the clinic's boundaries? Once the patient leaves the clinic, he sleeps. He does so many things that we don't know about. So this led us to address this unmet need and develop RheumaticMonitor, which focuses on the discovery of patterns from big clinical data that are predictive for exacerbation, remissions, and response to treatment, and also aim to follow the patients and monitor them in their natural surrounding outside the clinic's boundaries. So what we developed is a complex architectures based on a patient side, which includes mobile application that I will show you and sensor data. And we have a physician side, which enables the physician to visualize the data and to analyze it. And we have an EMR side, which I will detail in this lecture. So this is the brochure of this of the research. We are running a clinical trial at the rheumatology department at Hadassah Medical Center, and we're also receiving patients from the internet and from groups and from associations for patients with rheumatological conditions. And we also have an email and a website that I will show you. We developed an app using Vision Company, and this app is available for iPhone and Android operating systems. And the app includes a baseline questionnaire intended to assess the baseline status of the patient, but it also includes dynamic questionnaires, which the patient can fill every day, or he can fill it about last day. And he can also report about urgent pain attacks. You know, you have a pain attack and you want to report the app that you had a pain attack. And there is a possibility to see all the pain reports. We are also giving the patients bracelets, and we're collecting information based on data collected from the mobile device, as well as from the sensors. We count the number of steps, the walking distance, heart rate, sleep quality, and GPS. This is an example of the screenshots from the app. The developer, the CEO of Vision, is a painter. And he painted every polygon of the body. So the patients can mark all the areas that are painful. They can zoom in and zoom out on all areas. They can turn this feature and to see the back side and to see the front side. And they can mark the severity of the pain as well as the time of the pain. And afterwards, as you can see in the right side, they can see the pain reports and know when they had pain on each area. This is available in English. I show you the print shots in Hebrew, but this is also available in English. They can also report about medication they have taken, about nutrition, and about exercise. So if we take it all, what we collect from the app and the sensor data, we have a huge amount of data. We collect socio-demographic data, we collect clinical data, the patient, we know the diagnoses of the patients, the comorbidities they had, medications, symptoms, pain. They report on disability, and they report, we have reports on pain and sleep, hospitalizations. We take, of course, the vital signs, and we assess food, exercise, and habits of the patients. The development of the questionnaire, we took a lot of time to think about the questionnaires so they can be intelligent, and we made decision-making trees so that we won't ask a man, for example, if he's pregnant. So this is just this one decision that we had to make, but there are many others in the way. And now I will talk about the other part of RheumaticMonitor, which is an EMR records-based study. We collected data, as far as I know, this longitudinal database is the largest, or one of the largest in Israel, as far as I know, and it collects data from 20 years, longitudinal data from 2000 to 2020. And another interesting file that we took from the BI of Hadassah is the COVID-19 file, which includes all patients who had COVID-19 in Hadassah, whether they were rheumatic disease patients or whether they're not. And this is in order for us to see whether rheumatic disease patients had worse outcomes compared to other diseases. So what did we take? We took everything. So this took a lot of time in order for us to invest the time in thinking what we need. We have a huge amount of data. We have socio-demographic data, clinical data, and laboratory data. And now the first lecturer spoke about taxonomy, and this is extremely important. If we want to publish, we have to go and follow the international guidelines. And there are taxonomies for diagnoses called ICD-9, and also for medications called ATC. Now, the first presenters showed you, and I will show you as well, this screenshot. How does it look? As you can see in the right side, the codes that come from Hadassah are different, and the names that the names are given are very different, because we took data from 2000, 20 years ago. Doctors entered all the diagnoses manually, and they made mistakes. So, and all these codes were given a code of 99, and they took this data and put it into the database. Now we had to decide, look at the left side. The left sides include Behçet syndrome, one of the diseases, and we had to decide what is Behçet syndrome? Who do we call Behçet? So we needed domain experts, and I will show you our team, which includes the students from medicine, and of course our medical doctors like myself and other doctors, to go over all these lists. And we had some scripts to see how strong is the association between the title given by Hadassah and our title. So this is a huge amount of work to take all these files and make them make sense to the files. So we have data about diagnosis, admission, hospitalization, habits, nursing estimates, procedures. So some of the data are in the free text. For example, all the radiology and MRI and pathological reports, as the first presenter said, are actually free text, because the pathological report is a free text, and it can be, as she said before, in English and in Hebrew. So freestyle, what we call freestyle. And we also took laboratory results. And when I say laboratory, I'm talking about 23 files, huge amount of laboratory. And I'm not talking about blood examinations, because we took fluids from all the body, as you can see in the note, basic hematology and biochemistry, but also rheumatic panel, all the virology, microbiology, hormones, and etc. So this is a huge amount of data. Now, what do we do in the data? You know, we are talking now today about the new revolution called bioconvergence. That means that, you know, we don't, you know, if I'm a doctor, then I should treat problems that doctors can treat. If I'm a statistician, I treat problems that statisticians can treat. But this is not the concept today. Today, we think we have a problem. So who can solve the problem? Only a multidisciplinary team can face this huge amount of data. And our team is really multidisciplinary, and it includes me, myself, as I said, I'm a clinician, but I'm also a biostatistician and a great friend of mine and a partner, Professor Yuval Shahar, which if we talk about a conference in medical informatics, is one of the founders of medical informatics in Israel, is actually a physician himself, and he made a change in his life and moved to Stanford and Yale, and became a computer science professor and established one of the first labs of computer science, medical informatic research in Israel. We also include Dr. Hagit Peleg and Professor Eldad Ben Shitrit, which are rheumatologists from the rheumatology department in Israel, in Hadassah. Our team also includes Dr. Erez Shalom, which is the head of the research, and Dr. Ayelet Goldstein, who joined us, and I see her in the audience, and she's from Hadassah Information System Engineering at Hadassah Academic Centers, and our students are very, very diverse. We have students from the computational medicine program, which is a new program that started at the Hebrew University, where you get double degree, you become a doctor and a computer scientist. We have students in computer science and cognitive sciences, dental sciences, and information system engineering. So this team collaborates in order to analyze the data. So what do we do? Of course, we're using conventional methods like machine learning and conventional statistical methods, but I will focus today on a new way that many of these algorithms were developed in the Professor Yuval Shahar's lab, and a language that's called TAC. So what is TAC? You know, when I say as a doctor that something is high or low, I speak in terms. And temporal abstract knowledge is actually a language. What do I mean by language? Let's say, for example, that I want to talk about the temperature. I can analyze the temperature as a continuous variable. And I can say, you know, the temperature became lower or higher. But when a doctor speaks about the temperature, it's dependent on the context. For example, if you take a patient in intensive care, the question whether his temperature is high or low is dependent on his hemodynamic stability. If the hemodynamic stability is high or low, then the value would be different. So when I say that something is high or low, I have to see what is the context and decide and write a script that is actually a sentence that just like the doctor does. And if I have one sentence, I can make an argument and say, you know, when the saturation was low, then the blood pressure, the systolic blood pressure became high. And so I can make sentences just like doctors speak. And this is a meaningful way to look at the data. It doesn't mean that our team, which is composed of, as I said, statisticians and data scientists, is not looking at the data as continuous variables, but we're also looking at the data we're also making abstractions of this data to make meaningful arguments about the data. And once the TAC file is completed and we made all the questions in scripts, we put it in the engine and we're trying to look for trends, gradients, patterns, and rates. And this is how, this is a print shot, for example, to show you how the data is looking in the visitor's print shot. All the areas that you see in blue are actually the raw data. And below them, we are seeing, for example, the highest is the one here is we see white blood cell, we see hemoglobin, we see red blood cells, and we see the raw data in blue. And below them, we see the patterns and the gradients over time. And we can see whether a green is normal, and we have different colors to see if it's high or low. And then we see what happens over time. And then we can see what happens to the white blood cells and the hemoglobin and the platelets, and see if in the same time ones get high and the others ones gets low. And this is really a concept that this is the way doctors think. We think about a complex patient. We never look at one examination. We look at a complex thing. So finally, once we use all these things, we are getting getting meaningful ideas. Now, because of the time shortness, I will not have enough time to show you results, and I hope that next year we will show you results. In particular, I think the COVID-19 results are very, very interesting. This is our website, and I would like to thank you all, and we would be really, really happy to collaborate. As I said, we are multidisciplinary, and we're looking for people which can join us. And I'm thanking again the organizing committee, and if you have any questions, I'm available to answer. Thank you.